It's January 10th, 49 BC. Julius Caesar stands at the bank of the Rubicon River. He spent the last 8 or 9 years forced fighting in France. Finally over, he's got wealth and power and loyal troops. But now the Senate is worried, so worried they passed the Senatus Consultum Ultimum, stripping Caesar of his command, declaring him an enemy of the state. Tell that to Caesar's 13th legion that stands with him on the bank. The boundary, the Rubicon River, is the point of no return, the boundary into Rome. Julius Caesar is about to commit high treason if his 5,000 battle-hardened men stay loyal and cross that river with him. But he believes he is the future of the Roman Republic. And his 13th Legion must also believe that if they're willing to become traitors with him. Civil war begins. And who are you supposed to be rooting for in this story? I'm Mr. Hull. This is Ancient History. Welcome to Classical Kingdoms, where history reveals truth and wisdom for your journey. We take a classical approach to history. It's grounded in what actually matters, like the death of the Roman Republic and the rise of Caesar's rule. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand how Julius Caesar forever changes the constitutional order of the old republic. And you'll see the next level to Caesar's power. Plus, I have a classroom bonus at the end. Crossing the Rubicon means something. It means point of no return. And we had this class project and a fun story about the Rubicon Wikipedia article of 2002. So stick around for that. Let's begin. Let's get oriented in the north of Italy. This military encampment at Ravenna, Julius Caesar is with the men of his 13th Gemina, the 13th Legion, the Twins, as it's called, a very famous unit, actually, that's going to last for centuries. In the south, Rome, the Senate is dealing with panic, really, because Pompey is in charge. He's been the sole consul. The Senate has been worried because Julius Caesar overstayed his welcome in France. They were concerned that he's just gaining too much authority in Gaul. It's not called France then. Between Rome and Ravenna, there is that little muddy river. It's the Rubicon River. It's a big deal. It's not a big river, but it is the sacred boundary. Do you remember the Pomerian Wall from 44 BC? The sacred boundary of the walls, the actual Rome, but now it's the Rubicon River. If you cross that, there's Roman law that you have to deal with, and you may not bring your troops, especially if you're Julius Caesar. The general who's in a command, if his command is active, it's called imperium, like the word imperial. It's the absolute legal authority to command your troops to dispense violence. So when Caesar was given that job in Gaul, imperium, he did well. What does that mean? He gained wealth. He gained power. He picked up more troops. But that only exists in Gaul. The troops are not your troops inside Rome, inside the Rubicon River. The moment you march a standing army, an armed legion like the 13th, across the provincial border, that is the Rubicon River. If you cross the Rubicon River, it's the point of no return. Your imperium should evaporate. And if you break the law, you are no longer a general, you are a criminal. You're an insurrectionist. You're a traitor, an enemy of the state. Do you have this? If you're coming here from lesson 48, you already learned about this. Oh, wait a minute. No, they already did it. Sulla, Marius, they were teaching the young Julius Caesar how to work this, how to do it and live. Sulla literally brought those troops. He broke this law and he got himself declared dictator. Caesar understands, he's been a scholar. He took notes on lesson 44. He knows what being a traitor really means. But if he stays in the north, what does that mean? So who is Julius Caesar at this exact moment in time? Put yourself in his shoes. Officially a legal outlaw, but the 13th Legion is with him. What are they going to do? One thing to consider, the ambition spiral of Julius Caesar, as far back as we take it, to lesson 48, lesson 49, that ambition spiral has showed us who Julius Caesar is. But he's a man of the people, and he truly believes in what he sees as the vision for the future of the Roman Republic. He is a strong, successful system rebuilder. The army is standing with him, ready to go. And that shows you that Caesar knows how to make this happen. Reforms made by Caesar's own uncle, by marriage, Marius was his uncle. The whole philosophy shifted about Roman legions. And if you put yourself in an American position, we don't have generals with troops loyal. We have a country with troops loyal. And that's the way the Roman Republic really was until Marius. Then Sulla, and now Caesar. He has professionalized the army through his own loyalty, the loyalty of Julius Caesar. And this is the shift of Roman history that was centuries in the making. 400, 500 years. The early example we had was Cincinnatus, the virtue of Rome's first great dictator from lesson 45. If you're coming here from lesson 45, Cincinnatus and George Washington shared a virtuous view of serving your country with a lot of power and not keeping it. But here at the Rubicon River, that point of no return will make it clear for all of us, and it's why we have this lesson again. As I've been teaching since the 90s, it's a very exciting, very intense crossing. Even though, they would have snuck across at night, it's not this dramatic scene. But legally and historically, it is gigantic because civil war begins. All because Julius Caesar has loyal troops. So crossing the Rubicon River is attacking Pompey the Great. Figuratively, this is going to take a while. But Pompey was not supposed to be the enemy of Julius Caesar. In the decade before this, as we've learned the triumvirate, since lesson 50, the triumvirate, the three guys, Crassus and Pompey, and they had reasons to get along with each other. The most important was Caesar's daughter. Maybe not the most important, but a very special one. Julia was married to Pompey for 5 years. She was giving birth to a child in 54 BC. She died, the child died. An unexpected twist that breaks a family bond that they had. And, with Crassus being killed in battle, kind of an overreach of his ambition, Pompey is now the conservative, optimate Senate favorite. He's in Rome. He is protecting law and order. He's protecting the old republic, such as it is. It's been evaporating for a while now. We've been learning this. But Julius Caesar sees himself as the future. And Pompey is old. He can't pivot. He's not as dynamic. Caesar is the other party. He is the populare, and the people love celebrity generals. People in Rome love Caesar. His troops love him, and they're about to commit treason together. But let's listen to another senator, Cicero. We've been hearing from Cicero, and we could do so much more with Cicero. We're trying to fit this curriculum into 72 lessons. So, journey on your own about Cicero, but he is the greatest orator Rome ever produced. That's what he says. And One of my go-to sources in preparing lessons is checking on Delphi. And I found that Cicero did go to Delphi specifically asking. Now, Delphi is the oracle, the center of understanding, the place you would go to understand things. And it's an incredible story of its own. Cicero wanted fame. And in order to understand how to get fame, he went to Delphi. Delphi says, here's your message, because you get a message like, make your own nature your guide and not the opinion of the multitude. That was the message that was given to him because he visited the oracle, because he visited the center of understanding. So Delphi gets Caesar to listen to his own opinions, not the opinions of the people. And he was there in Greece to try to be a better orator. And that was the power. There was no social media, videos, YouTube. There, back then, you had to give a good speech. And Cicero was not a general. He was not like Caesar. He wasn't a statesman. He was a statesman, not a fighter. His speeches had to be the fight. But he was seeking fame. Is that really a virtuous and strong foundation? As we follow Cicero all the way to the end, will that carry him through some tough times? Because Cicero now, in this crisis, is paralyzed with what to do. He's on Pompey's side because he's on the Republic's side. He's supposed to be brilliant and understand in ways that no one else can understand. But he realizes if Caesar wins, the Republic is gone. The old Republic is gone. If Caesar wins, if Pompey wins, the Republic is also gone. This isn't the way it's supposed to be. Somehow, both Pompey and Caesar have turned the Republic and these offices into just ways to enrich themselves with power, money. So either way, Cicero, since lesson 48, lesson 49, we've been hearing about the old Republic. He is supposedly the great orator and senators protecting the old ways. We also have Cato. We should check in with him at some point, Cato the Younger. But you're a classical scholar and you realize it's already gone. The old Republic is gone. It's just that the tombstone isn't quite ready yet. And by the way, I want you to wonder about Cicero. Does he have a knife? Does he have a dagger? Where will Cicero be in lesson 55? But now let's finish some of the detail about crossing the Rubicon. A few days before, in January 7th, 49 BC, there was a faction of the Senate that said, we need to pass this law. So it's only 3 days old, the Senatus Consultum Ultimum, that is actually a decree of martial law. What is martial law? It's Caesar being stripped from his authority, but in the city of Rome, it's martial law. It's the army in charge. It's Pompey's command that is in charge now. With Caesar being declared an enemy of the state, he's being declared an enemy, Pompey's army. But guess what? We have a new character, a new Roman leader to discuss, and his name is Mark Antony, Marcus Antonius. Did you know Marcus Antonius is sitting there in the Senate chamber? Not but a few months earlier, he had made it to Rome with an incredibly important position. You're probably saying, Mark Antony. I thought he was like a big general. Maybe he's the Magister Equitum to Julius Caesar, Magister Equitum, which means master of the horse. It basically means second in command. So what's he doing back in Rome? Shouldn't he be loyal to Caesar? Well, Caesar's got connections in Rome, and he was already moving the chess pieces ahead of this critical time. He used his authority. Julius Caesar used his authority and money to put Mark Antony in the job of tribune. the tribune. I thought that was for plebeians, not patricians. Yeah, guess what? Mark Antony is a plebeian. Remember, patricians have the top 10% elite aristocracy. They trace their families all the way back to Romulus, Remus, Aeneas, and Venus. Mark Antony is not one of those. He's a pleb. But he can take the most powerful job, the tribune, and that means you can veto any act of the Senate. So when Antony tries to stand up and yell that he is vetoing this decree, the Senate has pretty much lost any pretense of the old Constitution. They physically expel Mark Antony from the chamber. He is sacrosanct. Remember that the tribune is sacrosanct. You can't mess with him. You can't threaten him. You can't beat him up. But if he's not present in the chamber, the tribune of the Roman people, who's legally untouchable, but he's not in the Senate. They forced him out. Another sacrilege. Mark Antony flees the city because he sees this civil war starting. He disguises himself as a slave and puts himself in a cart to try to get back. Caesar has no legal grievance. That didn't go the way Caesar planned. He has a moral argument if he can convince people. The Senate is not just coming after him, but they have violated the sanctity of the tribune, of the Constitution. How does that help Caesar? Does it give him the moral high ground now? Does Caesar even have to be the aggressor? Does he even have to go on offense and cross the Rubicon? He's got just a day or two to figure this out. By January 10th, the nighttime. So in fun fact, not fun, I mean, this is serious, but the Rubicon River crossing was done at night. So, any pictures I've ever created or used or story told, it's done. And Caesar, the drama of him standing at the riverbank, I still love it. I still love the art of this, but with his officers gathered around and all the men of the 13th Legion behind him, it's done in silence. They are sneaking across. And people understand the weight of this. They're all becoming criminals, enemies of the state. No more politics. This is civil war. Nowadays, our phrase is crossing the Rubicon. It means point of no return, but the phrase Julius Caesar used was Alea, Iacta est. The die is cast. What die? You pour the metal into the die. It is cast that way. You can't change the die. And he is not declaring victory here. He is acknowledging the civil war, the circumstance, the treason. So the symbolism of him walking into this water, he is walking down into Roman territory as a criminal. The very next day, he takes over Irinium, the city, a major population center just south, not a city. But, Pompey knows at this point and is facing a consequential decision in his life because he actually does not have veteran forces in Italy ready to stop this civil war. Not immediately, anyway. His legions are scattered around. Now, we say his legions because the problem we mentioned earlier, loyal legions to Pompey. They're scattered around different provinces like Spain. That's where he was governor, or proconsul. He was proconsul. Caesar was governor of Spain before proconsul. And way in the east, in Greece, Pompey has loyal troops to him. And so Pompey does something that kind of stuns even his own allies. He abandons Rome, greatest city in the world, the eternal city. He leaves. The symbolic beating of the heart of the republic and the guy who's supposed to be in charge and favored by the Senate, he leaves. Heads across the Adriatic Sea to Greece. This is kind of the slow, systematic process of assembling his global army that's going to be loyal to him. The Senate is kind of fractured over this because some go with Pompey. And that includes Brutus, Marcus Junius Brutus, another new character. I should stop calling them characters. He's a senator. He's very close with Julius Caesar, actually. Brutus has every personal reason to despise Pompey. Pompey actually murdered Brutus's father. And without a father figure, Brutus found a father figure in Caesar. Caesar was his mentor. They were very, very close. Brutus is going with Pompey. But Brutus looks at the situation through the iron lens of Republican ideals. What does that mean? He is a senator that has the old ways, is protecting mos maiorum. He thinks by going with Pompey, he doesn't love Pompey, but he loves the Republic. He's doing it for the Republic, guys. He's Brutus, and all he does is think, how could I serve? How could I help the Republic? I'm exaggerating a little bit. Some of you already know Lesson 55. Brutus is a senator. He goes with Pompey. He loves the Republic, but Caesar does too. Caesar has his loyal army. Do you call it a private army, an enemy? I mean, a criminal army at this point. Who's got the Roman Constitution? I've been teaching this since the 90s, and when I get to this moment in class and ask kids about Brutus, here in the Ohio State University, we have Brutus Buckeye is our mascot. But as we get to know Brutus, kids would go silent on this topic. They're not sure what to make of him. Do you break your loyalty to family, friends, like a mentor, a father figure? Would you flip on Caesar if you were Brutus at this point? So Caesar is moving fast as the civil war comes together. Pompey is out there gathering his manpower in the eastern provinces in Greece. And both men pretty much know where this is heading to the plains of Thessaly in Greece, a strategic spot at Pharsalia. It's the Battle of Pharsalus. August 9th, 48 BC. It's taken us a while to organize all of this, but this plain of Pharsalus in Greece, where Pompey has the home field advantage. Why is that a home field? So many of his loyal troops. Pompey has kept his promises. He's assembled the forces, at least on paper, that include 45,000 mixed infantry, 7,000 horsemen, his aristocratic cavalry. The horsemen are the equestrian class. They were always, they were better buddies with Crassus, but more aligned with Pompey. They are sons of senators, being the wealthy, the aristocrats. And they're beautifully equipped too. They're well-trained, elite people. So they've got a horse. You have the swift advantages of being on top of a horse. Okay, I'm talking too much about horses. It's just that Caesar kind of struggles there because he's only got 22,000 of his veteran troops, now joined by the 10th. And you could contrast the 13th Legion with the 10th Legion. It's an interesting story there on who remains more loyal. But they're all exhausted. They're all hungry. Caesar only has 1,000 cavalry, so that's a 7-to-1 disadvantage. He's outnumbered, well over, 2-3-to-1, depending on how you count. 7-to-1 disadvantage in the cavalry, and this is a big part of the fights. Now put yourself on Pompey's side for a second as you look across the field. You're like, we're more than double of the infantry guys, and 7x the horsemen. And he's got the resources of Greece, the wealthy, the fancy. And best of all, the Roman Senate is politically behind you. What does that even mean now? You're a classical scholar. You've already thought to yourself, there is no Roman Senate at this particular moment. There's only two armies facing off. But Pompey is supposedly the home team. He is supposedly Rome. Where do you feel your alliances would be? This would be the comment time. If this story is new to you, especially comment if you've got your take on it. And if you haven't clicked the like button, we really need that in the subscriptions. Please subscribe to really help classical kingdoms reach more people. Because at this turning point, Pompey feels like it's already over. Julius Caesar still believes in himself. He probably feels concerned. But Pompey has a clean, elegant plan, kind of the standard playbook, because he's going to send 7,000 cavalry on a wide sweep around Caesar's right flank, envelop the guy. With this advantage and the swiftness of the cavalry, he can crush him from the side while the infantry pins him from the front. Does that sound like one of those Philip II maneuvers with the hammer and the anvil that he might have taught us way back in lesson 40? If you're coming here from lesson 40, yes, Julius Caesar is inspired by Alexander the Great and Philip II, and they're pretty close to where that all happened. This has worked 100 times before. The hammer, the anvil, and Caesar, he already knows this. He's been taking notes this whole time. Caesar is smart. And now you should expect the unexpected. Caesar does something that no Roman general has ever done. He reaches into his veteran force, men who fought beside him and in the forests of Gaul. He pulls out a reserve, the fourth line, and hidden at an oblique angle behind his already outnumbered cavalry, he's got 6 cohorts. That's 2,000, 3,000 men. And he gives them an order that is completely unorthodox. What does that mean? It's crazy. Do not throw your pila, your javelin. Don't throw it. Every Roman soldier drills from birth how to hurl the pilum at, I said pilum, the pilum at the enemy's face, hurl it at the enemy's face as they're charging, smack them in the face with this. It's an automatic thing, but these guys are not going to do that. Why? It's like muscle memory burned over decades of service. Julius Caesar says, wait. Hold the javelin like a thrusting spear, and when Pompey's cavalry crashes into our line, aim for their faces, aim for their eyes. Now, I need you to understand, if you were in Pompey's cavalry, I already said, these are not the hardened, kind of tough soldiers that grind it out like a rugby game in the mud. And these are sons of Roman aristocracy. They've been riding horses. They're wealthy. They've spent their entire lives cultivating their appearance. The Romans have some vanity. They have their reputation. They have their physical beauty. And these men don't want a scarred face. That would be a social catastrophe. Julius Caesar actually understood this, kind of a deep psychological level. When the cavalry charges, Pompey's cavalry charges, the 7,000 horsemen bared down on Caesar's thin right flank. And at that precise moment of contact, Caesar's hidden fourth line surges forward, javelins up, thrusting, not throwing. And they aimed directly at the faces of those charging horsemen. The cavalry breaks, not slowly, not with any sort of dignity. They absolutely run away. 7,000 of the finest horsemen in the Roman world turned into a stampede of panicked animals by the terror of the scarred face. So they say. And in doing so, that exposes the entire left flank of Pompey's infantry. Caesar's hidden line now pivots His veteran third line, held in perfect reserve at that exact moment, surges forward. The trap closes. The legacy system of old maneuvers and Pompey's old, outdated, numerically superior, war strategy, it's done. No Senate mandate, no beautiful aristocratic cavalry can save him at this point. That's it, guys. That's the battle. These guys did not want to fight in a civil war. They didn't want to fight against their own country. The numbers that's come out of this Battle of Pharsalus, which took just minutes, 45,000 of Pompey's force, they lost a third. There's 15,000 killed people. 24,000 are captured, pretty much everybody. And what does Caesar do? Well, first he counts up only 200 of his soldiers were lost. 30 centurions that he knew every name. Caesar knew all 30 names of those centurion officers. Again, it shows you who he is. What is Caesar trying to do at the Battle of Pharsalus? He's trying to show he is Rome. This was a Roman on Roman entanglement, the largest in history up to that point, and it's not being decided by numbers or wealth, or if the Senate backs you or approves of you, but it's decided by the up and coming, fast, innovative, loyal, the Julius Caesar team. He's the future. These men would have followed Julius Caesar off the edge of the world. The 13th more than the 10th. The 10th actually had some issues. They didn't get their paychecks. Julius Caesar kind of dresses them down a little bit. And that loyalty shows that Julius Caesar is the Republic. He is the future. He is smarter, swifter. Where's Pompey? Pompey strips off his general's insignia. He's running away. Can you believe it? Every time in my classroom, Darius ran away from his troops in battle. Pompey is running away from his troops in battle. And I tell kids, don't ever do that. There is no virtue. There is no possible good outcome to this. Well, okay, think of it this way. He gets his wife and his son. They find a ship. He dresses like a merchant. So this is now like a trade ship. And he sails east to Egypt. You were waiting for Egypt. You thought this was supposed to be a lesson about Egypt. Egypt is a place where Pompey thinks he has loyalty. King Ptolemy owes him money. He thinks that this would be a good, safe place to kind of regroup. To Pompey, it's not over yet. He had a slight setback, but the boy king, Ptolemy the 13th, is kind of calculating the new reality. As a 13-year-old, King Ptolemy, a 13-year-old, he's calculating a new reality about how he should receive Pompey. Is that what 13-year-olds typically do? Do they typically know the lessons learned from past Roman conflicts like this and what the Roman Senate is doing? Is Pompey the Roman Senate? Is Pompey the country? Should Pompey be received in Egypt as a head of state? Lesson 53 needs to be the place to really fully learn the ways that Julius Caesar could be looked at as now the sole administrator of the Roman world. Notice I said administrator. You can't say king. You can't say can't say it. You can't say dictator, or you can't say consul, because that's something that the Senate would bestow upon Julius Caesar. But Caesar has weaponized clemency, clementia, that is the Latin word for clemency or mercy. All those troops that surrendered, that were Pompey's troops, he welcomes them. He gives them mercy and invites them to be a part of the Roman Republic. Do you get it? The lessons that Julius Caesar learned from Marius and Sulla went to an extreme level, more extreme than what Sulla had experienced. But at Pharsalus, the decision is clear where the future of Rome is. Unless you're not sure what will happen in lesson 53 and what Pompey is about to do. Here, it's the Roman Republic that, it did not fall here. It did not collapse or even implode or explode. It was surrendered with Pompey running away from Pharsalia. That was just one more piece of surrendering little pieces. I think I forgot to tell you that Cicero was there. Cicero went with Pompey. Cicero was there. He's a piece that has surrendered the old republic. Brutus was there. He's a piece. Neither one of them died. They're both going to be restored. They're part of this future. Cicero and Brutus are going to be around. So please consider this explanation that the Roman Republic is being surrendered piece by piece to help make sense of what these lessons have been about. And we still have a ways to go. There's a lot more coming. But it's being surrendered by men that told themselves that they really had no other choice, that this is the reality now. This is the future. Caesar has won this Roman world, most of it. He shows mercy to his enemies. He showed mercy to Cicero, and Brutus forgave them. He shows dozens of senators and all those other troops who had actively worked to destroy him, who were trying to kill him. He pardons them. Julius Caesar pardons everybody. And when they are seated back in the Roman Senate, where eventually we will take Julius Caesar back to the Roman Senate, that somebody might be sharpening a knife. The Ides of March are coming. The classroom bonus, just really fast. Roman leader trading cards for decades, since the 90s. We were always making these with 7th graders. And this Rubicon River card, it wasn't this exact one, but shout out to Connor Smith back in 2002. He was sharing some of this. He researched about the Rubicon River, and Wikipedia was a new thing back then. And he said, Mr. Hall, Rubicon River, the point that Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon River, Starbucks built a Starbucks. This is 2002. Now, I'm pretty young. I had recently been to Italy. As a college student in the 80s, I saw coffee places on every corner. Italy invented the idea. And I'm like, a Starbucks in Italy? So in 2002, I actually do some research. I call Starbucks, I'm corporate headquarters. I'm researching. I find all this evidence that that's not true. It was on the Wikipedia article that said Starbucks was built there. And I proved that it wasn't. So I logged in, I got myself a Wikipedia account, I presented my evidence, and I got it changed. So that's how you change Wikipedia from the early days, fixing mistakes and point of no return. Wikipedia has never had that mistake since then. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to learn something that matters in all of history. And that includes your journey, because kingdoms rise and fall, power fades, but virtue endures.